morning, gorgeous. Great to see you. It's lovely to be here. I'm going to pull this back, otherwise I kind of disappear underneath it. Let me show you the day. Sun's come up. When I was at the top of the hill, there wasn't a lot of sun, and it's a lot like this. There is a tui flyby. That is a tui, and it's calm and it's cool, but I'm all warm because I walked. And because before that I meditated, and I get really warm when I meditate. Good morning, Janine. It's gorgeous to see you and share the day with you. And let me show you the flowers on the kōwhai. Let's go for a little walk up the steps. You can see that the oxalis plant has still got flowers on it, but they're never open in the morning. This one flowers very early in the season. Good morning, John. It's great to see you. And, we've seen tui here feeding because the flowers have nectar in them and the tuis are honey eaters, actually. Just going backwards down the steps because it strikes me. Oh, geez, nearly missed one, but that's okay. And this is the other thing that's very bright and beautiful at the moment. It's this lovely daisy. I mean, really, look at that. Good morning, Nora. It is lovely to see you. It's lovely to see all of you. Nefertiti, it's beautiful to see you too. Woohoo, we're all together enjoying the flowers. They're a bit sporadic at this time of the year. You can see everything's going to sleep. I actually have to dig this bed up because there will be lots of loganberry roots in it. And if I don't, they will just sprout when everything's growing. So that's another afternoon's work in the garden, or an hour or so, however long it takes. So today I want to pick up where we left off yesterday, because we started talking about, well, in fact we were practicing creating a new self. And I remember that, I could feel you all starting to fire and wire and imagine and sense and taste and smell and breathe and, embody more and more, adding more sensory data to this self that you're starting to create. And I could feel it happening. And we'll recall that in a minute, although you're probably already doing it now, and that's great. Just, keep playing. And we were doing it with heart coherence, right? Because everything works better when your heart is coherent. So we were putting attention in the heart. So yeah, go ahead and play with that if you wish. And I thought, and I said at the end, well, this is great. I can feel that one way or another you're engaging with this and you're playing with it and you're starting to really feel it. And that's cool because it means you can then go and do it again, right? And I thought, well, I need to unpack that a bit more. Why is once not enough? And it was, Robin, it was your comment that inspired this, so thank you. I know you'll see this. About how, every morning you wake up and there's a struggle to get out of bed because you're dealing with a health condition. And you want to get out of bed because you want to catch me live, but, the body has other ideas. And I wrote to you about, the fact that your body at the moment is very good at being the mind of fatigue or pain or whatever it is. And we all have this. Our bodies memorize things for us because we program them to do that, and we do it over time. I programmed myself into having a body of fear, the body that was very good at being the mind of fear for me over decades. And I did it unconsciously. I did not purposely set out to program myself to have fear and be anxious and, anticipate the worst possible outcome at every opportunity. I didn't consciously realize I was doing that. I learned it from people around me who learned that from the people around them and circumstances that were difficult and everything else. But piece by piece, choice by choice, moment by moment, unconsciousness by unconsciousness, I programmed myself into that genetic, emotional, personal destiny. Because that's how it works. And I feel I need to remind you and remind me again how it works, that every time you have a thought, neurons in your brain, the network of neurons in your brain that are that thought, right? Because when you have a thought, a piece of information, a memory, there's a neural net in your brain that represents that. And when you bring it up again, it fires. And when it fires, you get neurotransmitters. You cannot have a thought without neurotransmitters, period. I mean, this is just how your brain works. Those neurotransmitters talk to your emotional brain. And the emotional brain signals your hormonal centers, and kapow, you have an emotion. That is how it works. You know, a perfect example is when you lose your rag, you lose your temper. Fires in your head, emotional brain says, adrenals, pour out adrenaline, we're going into a rage. That's what happens. And and your heart rate increases and your pupils constrict, I think. I don't know, can't remember, dilate. Good day, Julian, it's beautiful to see you. It's lovely to have you all here with me, whether I know who you are or not. And so that's the thing. Now, if you think about that, thought, feeling, and of course, if we stick with anger for the moment, you have the angry thought and then your body goes into this rage. Now remember, that period where the chemistry pause is 90 to 120 seconds, right? But while you're feeling that rage, isn't it just terribly easy to think more angry thoughts? So you fire another angry thought and then you get another shot of adrenaline, and you fire another angry thought and you get another shot of adrenal hormones, and boom, 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 you keep firing them. And we've all done this. You have a fearful thought and then you think another fearful thought and another fearful thought, thinking and feeling and thinking and feeling and thinking, just builds on itself. And I remember doing that in my 20s when I had insomnia and couldn't sleep, and oh my God, the loops in my brain. I remember this. I don't do it now because I know how to stop it. But every time you pour that chemistry, it hits your cells. And your cells, if it keeps happening, and I mean, the perfect example is somebody who has a traumatic experience and they can't stop thinking about it. So every time they think about it, their body is re-experiencing that like it's happening now. Now, you keep doing that 50 to 100 times a day, you're going to condition your body to memorize that state of being. It's actually going to change how the cells are and what hormones they expect, and the body literally becomes an addict to the very experience that you really want to forget. But because you keep firing it and worrying it and feeling it and thinking and feeling it, it gets programmed. And that is how we set ourselves upon a genetic destiny. That is how chronic conditions actually happen. That is how anxiety builds. That is how resentment builds. We program it. We embrace it, and we don't realise that by doing it, over time, we become the coyote chasing its tail 90,000 miles an hour inside our heads. Yes, we do. And we do it at a cellular level, and we do it energetically. And that's the signal. Remember, your brain is saying, I'm focusing on suffering. I am really suffering today. I'm so aware of my suffering today. And then your body gets involved in feeling suffering, and you are broadcasting that signal to the universe. It says, oh, infinite mind, divine being, I have mastered the state of suffering. Please bring me an experience. It's a wonderful surprise that I don't expect, so I can suffer a bit more. That is literally what we do. Hi, Laura. I was just listening to Dr. Joe talk about it yesterday. If it sounds familiar, if you've heard him talking about it, it's because I listened to him talking about it. So, I've been revising, I've been revisiting, I've been remembering, I've been firing and wiring these connections in my brain again. So, of course, it comes out because, this is what I'm paying attention to. So, that is how we get locked into genetic emotional destinies. It's not genetic. It's a learned, conditioned behaviour, and it might have been, if your mother was highly anxious or very angry or very sad when you were in utero, you can get programmed in utero. And it's harder to move that program, but it's been done. Genes are like Christmas tree lights. They switch on and off all the time. And if you don't keep programming, then sooner or later, if you program a different program, then you're going to get different genes turning on. That is how people create spontaneous remissions. That's literally how it works. So the point being that we can program ourselves into a specific destiny over many, many years, speaking from experience, and we don't realise that we're doing it or how it works. Well, that's how it works. There's a lot more information available on YouTube. If you think I'm making this shit up, I'm not. It's fact, it's science. Go and look up Joe Dispenza and listen to him explain the kind of top level of his model of how things work. Because it made so much sense to me. Epigenetics, absolutely. So right, John. Morning, Christina. Morning, Laura. Morning, Eric. I know you'll be together. Great to see you. So this is why, yesterday we started to explore and play with a new self, right? You did it once. It was cool. Felt good. Maybe strange. Maybe what the feck am I doing? But there's something in here. But you might have been programming the self that you don't want to be anymore 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years? How long have you been doing that? Do you think that one visitation to your new self is going to change all that firing and wiring that you've done and change the biology? That's why we have to keep going back, or rather keep going forward. Keep visiting and getting to know who we want to be. Oh my God, it's lovely to see you. This is our work, and it is work because the old self, remember, is chemically conditioned. I modified my cells for you. You want me to not get my chemical fix now 50 times a day of remorse or resentment or desperation or despair or this is never going to happen, this is hopeless, it's impossible. I want that fix, and so it starts to come up with all the thoughts and all the reasons why, I talked about that plenty other times, not going to do it today. So we have to get more and more familiar. You have to spend more time with the self that you want to be than with the self you've been. And I'm telling you, for me, it's taken time. For some people, it happens real fast. But when you look at that person, they dive into something and kapow. But when you talk to them, you find they've done the work somewhere else. They've made a change. They've recognised something. It never comes from nowhere. They have to change. You have to become addicted to a different drug, John. You're so right. It's exactly the same thing. We get addicted to our negative chemistry, and we don't even like it, but our bodies have memorised that state over a long period of time. And it is literally like breaking an addiction. It's an addiction to the old self. And, I've heard Joe say this so many times. When you want to become somebody else, it is the biological, energetic, chemical, hormonal, neurological, everything, death of the old self. Literally, the old self has to die. And again, I've experienced that. So, now, we've been practicing heart coherence, and I love this practical flow that's coming into this space. I love it. And it's all come, really, I recognise, because of Go Love 20. And Go Love 20, for those who don't know, is a little meditation that Joe Dispenza put out when COVID-19 shut down his world, if you like, and said, no, you can't go out and teach the workshops that you love. So he and his staff got creative. And they, whoever it was, somebody made a decision that if we've got COVID-19 and people are scared and shutting down their immune systems because of that, let's give them an opportunity to love on some other people, to experience affection and to spread love like a virus. And so they did. And I don't know how many, I think they have on record, they have evidence that they've reached hundreds of thousands of people with this, which is pretty cool. But, I never downloaded the badge. I probably registered as one view of the video. But I've done it dozens of times now. And I've been, I've opened my heart. I did it with my mother. I've done it with dear friends. It's only a 15-minute meditation. And here's the thing. This morning, thinking about what we were going to do, and you creating yourself, and, sitting down, because I do this meditation every day at the moment. It's just so useful and right and good for me. It puts me heart-centered, breaks me open every time. I did it with you. And what I did, and what I'm inviting you to do now, because there's a link to the meditation at the bottom, and maybe you've already done it, but if you haven't, your choice. I realised I wanted to, in the meditation, you bring someone you love to mind, and you bring them into your heart. And normally I really know very clearly who it is or what it is I'm doing. But today it was like, I think I'll be... No, it's my community. It's you. It's you. And so I found myself bringing you into my heart, all of you. And it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I ended up with the whole planet in my heart, and the whole universe became a torus, and I was, holding it in my heart, because we're all one. Powerful meditation, beautiful meditation. So the way you're supposed to do it, which I can finally do, is to say, look, I love you. You're amazing. You elevate yourself. You choose to spend time with me. I love that about you. I love about you that you are dedicated to yourself enough to show up and try and practice. And I can feel you playing with the things that we explore in the unified field. I love that you're determined, that you're not willing to just go with, be a sheep and not think for yourself. I love that there is a choice in you that wants to elevate. So, the person that you're supposed to do an audio bite or write a thing or a little video to say, hey, I love you, you're awesome, and I'm going to do this little video, I'm going to do this little meditation, and I'm going to bring you into my heart, and I want you to know that's what I'm doing, and here is the link to the meditation, and I'd love you to be open to it and give it a go yourself, and let someone else into your heart and spread the love instead of, the other stuff. And so that's my invitation to you now, because I held you in my heart this morning. So, there's Go Love 20. Now here's what I also invite you to do. That just the first time you do this, and I'm going to help you with this in a minute, that future self that you created and looked at and smelled and tasted and touched and you thought, what does it feel like to be where I am, and who's there and who's not, and what am I not doing, and what am I doing, and what am I feeling, and what am I not feeling, and how is my life, and all of that, I invite you to, when you first do this meditation, or if you just do it today, to bring that self into your heart. Let that be the self that you love today. Because it's powerful when you actually love on your future self. I haven't really done that yet. I was there. I'm part of the community. I look at my little face and I'm talking to myself. I had to love on myself. It's like, oh my God, I'm loving on myself. Saw this little hat, my little face. But I'm aware that loving me is loving you. And there's no edge to that. And the more you love yourself and the more you love on your future self, the more you make that heart connection with your future self. You get to know that future self, and that future self through that heart connection that we made yesterday. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back to the end of yesterday's live, about the last 5 minutes or so. Practice that. Get connected to that future self. Listen to that again. Bring it up in your heart, breathe, remember, fire and wire it. And then when you have that memory of your future, you can remember your future, go to Go Love 20 and bring that future self into your heart in a completely different way. And for anybody who's not familiar with what Joe's meditations sound like, some of you might be surprised by his voice. When you listen to him lecturing and talking, he has this lovely voice, and he's very entertaining and he's very engaging, and he's an awesome teacher. In the meditations, he sounds like he's in a huge space, and there's a lot of echo, and it might feel impersonal. And what he discovered is that he needs to get his personality out of the space and just be information and instructions. So, just so you know, it's supposed to be like that. It can feel almost invasive until you get used to it, because there's passion that is saying, come on, you can do this. Do this for yourself. I know how precious and wonderful this is, and I want this for you. Hi Jen, lovely to see you. So allow yourself into your own heart, into the space of eternity that is love. That's what I want for you today. That's what I had in heart and in mind when I was myself holding you in my heart today. You've got to remember your future. Often get to know you. It is life-changing. We do bulldoze a new path, although frequently, Laura, for me it's not a bulldozer. It's more like I'm just pulling one little bit, I know you know what I'm talking about. It is pebble by pebble. You said that before and I saw it and couldn't talk about it. We can create ourselves like this, and this is how you do it. And because if you allow yourself to go into the space of eternity and nothing, and I was there this morning and it was so, wow, there is no time. And the length of time you think it takes for things to land it changes. You realise there's no separation between you and what you love. And if you're loving in yourself or you're loving someone else into health, I've been doing that too. If you're loving someone into coherence, it doesn't matter. You can do this. And it gets faster and easier all the time. The more of us catch this bug and get good at it, the more we can change ourselves, and the more, without any effort at all, we shine more brightly and we change our worlds. That is how we do it. And that's what I invite you to do. I gotta check the clock. Perfect. Oh, you'll laugh. I looked at the clock, it said 21:21. Are we on the thing or not? I've had so many videos that ended on the second of repeating numbers. It just happens a lot now. So, time is just changing. It's just changing. And the more you get into love and the more you get into unity, the more it ceases to exist. And you just become all of it. And everything is there. Maybe we'll talk more about that tomorrow. Until then, much love. See you.